My name is Colin Hastings. I'm the Executive Director of the Pasco Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our July General Membership Luncheon. Today's program, as I think most of you know, features the Franklin County Commissioners Candidate Forum, and it will be moderated today by Jason Mercier of the Washington Policy Center. So with that, I'd like to invite you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat. Well, we have a real big crowd today, and so I would like to introduce some of the elected officials that have joined us here today. From Franklin County Commissioner's Office, we have Rick Miller, Brad Peck, and Bob Cook. Please give them a round of applause. Franklin County Sheriff Jim Raymond. Can't miss him back there. He's the man in uniform. We have Franklin County Treasurer Josie Kelzer. Thought I saw Josie. All right. Franklin County Clerk Michael Killian. From the Port of Pasco, we have Port of Pasco Commissioners Jim Klindworth, Gene Reichman, and I thought Vicki, there's Vicki Gordon. Please give them a warm round of applause. From the City of Pasco, I saw City Council Member Dave Milne come in. David, did I see? There he is over there. Okay, he tried sneaking in on me. And with the Franklin PUD, we have Stu Nelson, Commissioner. There's Stu. I apologize if I overlooked anyone, but I do want to take a moment to introduce Pasco Chamber Board of Directors that have joined us here today. And if you can hold your applause, and we'll just recognize them after I'm done introducing them. But if I call your name, feel free to raise your hand. We have President of the Board, Dennis Giese, past President, Derek Brownson with Community First Bank, Jolene Johnson with Informed Benefit Solutions, Dave Zabel with the City of Pasco, Randy Hayden with the Port of Pasco, Joe Roach with Campbell and Company. I have Dave Zabel on here twice. That's how important he is to our board. Moving along. Tara Wiswall with Baker Boyer, Jason Hogue with American Family Insurance, and then also want to recognize some past presidents that have joined us here today. Ryan Brault, Carl Leth, Kevin Williams, Spencer Leck, RSVP, but I don't think I've seen him here yet. Do want to recognize Elaine Banks, that her husband Dick Banks was the president, and of course, the godfather of the Pasco Chamber, Ed Ray. So let's give them all a round of applause. A couple quick announcements before we'll do the announcements through the room, which will take a little bit of time, but that's part of what makes the Pasco Chamber Luncheon so great, is everybody gets to know everybody. So right around the corner, right after boat races, and you're looking for something to do, if you haven't seen it yet, we have our crawdad boil coming up. It's our second annual. Last year we did it, and we had quite a few people show up, and I think it's going to be a little bit bigger and better, and weather will be hopefully more cooperative. It's at Osprey Point, where the Port of Pasco is, and it's on Saturday, August 11th. If anybody has been around for a while, if you remember Jackson's Sports Bar in Richland used to have a really big crayfish boil. Well, it's the same guys that started that have taken over our crawdad boil, so you know it's going to be very authentic and good. There'll be a lot of good times too. So you can go to our website and go ahead and pre-order tickets if you'd like, and then not long after that is our big River Fest, our Rivers, Our Way of Life Festival. And this is a new one for us this year. We've had nothing but great community support, regional support from that matter, of a great family event, highlighting the importance of our river system. And we're expecting a large crowd there. We're going to have a lot of free exhibitors, and there'll be ice cream and tugboat tours and all sorts of fun family activities. So it's a great way to learn about all the different elements that are beholden to our river system the way it is. So With that, I'm going to have, let's start in the back. We'll do room introductions, and we'll go around, and then I'll invite Jason to come up to start the forum. So with that, I'll hold you back.
All right, well, thank you, Colin. I am Jason Mercier, the Government Reform Director of the Policy Center, and that basically means I spend my days looking at policy. And while Washington, D.C. and Olympia get most of the attention, many of the important decisions that affect our lives are made at the local level, which is what makes this so important for you to be here today. You'll be starting to get your primary ballots in the mail soon. Votes tabulated on August 7th for these important races. And for those not here today or would like to watch this again, it will be rebroadcast on Pasco City Television as well as on Channel Charter 12. I'm going to go over some of the ground rules for today before we have our candidates come up. They are each going to get a 90-second opening statement, and we will conclude with a 60-second closing statement. And I'm going to be reading questions provided by you to them. They will each have about 60 seconds to read their responses. And the man with the second best haircut in the room will be sitting up front. Colin is going to be our timekeeper. He's going to give the candidates the 30-second, 15-second, and stop warnings. So please pay attention to him so you don't have to hear from me. Now, I mentioned this is going to be audience participation, so on the table you will see little note cards. We're going to have Allie, Rebecca, and Marilyn of the Chamber will be going around and collecting those and bringing them up so we can get your questions in. And most importantly, let's show Washington, D.C. how things are done. We're going to do this very civilly without jeering, applauding, booing, clapping during the presentation so we can get through as many questions as we can. So please hold all audience interaction until the candidates have concluded. And also, please silence your cell phones so that we can hear them very clearly. Now, I'm going to bring up our candidates at this time. I'm going to bring them up in the order that they filed. Ask you to sit up at the table here, and we'll get to our questions. If I can have Zara Roach, Rick Miller, Dobie Burns, and Clit Didier, please join me up on the stage here, and we'll get to our questions. So we have Colin right there at the table there keeping our time. We're going to go ahead and start with our opening statements. Again, this is 90 seconds, and we're just going to go down the row here. So we will start with Ms. Roach first.
Okay. Can I get this adjusted first for myself? Hi, I'm Zara Roach, and I'm running for Franklin County Commissioner, District 3. I've had the privilege of serving on the City Pasco Planning Commission for 7 years. And in that time, I have learned quite a bit involving land use management, public hearings. And I want to take my knowledge and my experience, and I want to transfer it to the county. I think there's a need right now for my experience. Our county is the fastest growing county in Washington State. And as a former Pasco School District educator, I taught for 5 years at Pasco High School and New Horizons High School. I became aware of what the services that our county offers. My students, I had at-risk students, I helped them to access some of these services, things like the transit, crisis response, substance abuse programs. As a mother of 3 young children, I use the services and facilities in our county every single day. And if you don't know, our county is a very young county. The median age is between 28 to 34. And like myself, people are first-time homeowners, and they're using the same services, parks, libraries, and the school district. I want to be a representation for that voice that is not currently on our Board of Commissioners. This is my home. I'm fully invested here. I work here. I'm raising my family here. And I want to bring a few things. Spirit of collaboration, transparency, and a culture of integrity. So please vote for me, Zara Roach, as your next Franklin County Commissioner. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and go down to Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Rick Miller, the right vote for Franklin County Commissioner. I am a lifelong Franklin County resident. After graduating, I started my own farming business. I hold a Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture with minors in WSU, from WSU's. At the age of 26, I was the youngest elected commissioner for Washington State Potato Commission and National Potato Council, serving 16 years. I received national recognition for chairing NPC's Leadership Institution, which is still in place today. As your Franklin County Commissioner, I have a proven track record, listening, problem solving, and proven leadership, and that is how I like to conduct business. I have a collaborative leadership style, always looking for win-win situations. As a commissioner, you have to take oath to honor and follow state statutes and law. When you listen to other candidates today, remember that. I am the only commissioner who has not voted for raising salaries. I want to clarify, in my position as state, I have made less salary than the other commissioners. At one point, my salary was $25,000 less than other commissioners. I am proud that Franklin County has implemented a culture of trust. We have provided the resources to other elected department officials to ensure fiscal responsibility, accountability, and transparency of public funds. These additions, such as software system, have been successful. When we find a problem, we fix it. I care about the county. I want to continue to protect what's working and look for opportunities in what's not. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you today.
Hi there, my name's Rodney Burns, better known as Dobie. I grew up on a farm in Franklin County with 7 brothers and sisters. I've been married almost 20 years, have 2 grown children and a grandchild on the way. As I was growing up, I've been involved with various organizations like 4-H, FFA, The Grange. I continue to be a strong supporter of these organizations as I feel that they are great learning tools for our youth. Pasco is a big agriculture community that is growing and developing rapidly. With the lifetime experience of farming and 15 years as a land developer in Franklin County, it is giving me a deep understanding of the conflicts and opportunities in the future of this county. It is extremely important that we manage the inevitable growth very carefully, always aware of the balance between developers and maintaining farming and preserving the environment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Clint Didier. I think you probably pretty much know who I am. I'm a farmer still to the day, born and raised on the farm. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to speak to you today. I'd like to thank Rick Miller for his 12 years of service. And I'd like to start off by telling a little story about my parents who were pioneers to this area. You see, Dad was in the Korean conflict and he was a GI, so they got the GI Bill. They bought this land. They had to reside on that land. They couldn't afford to build a house, so they lived in a tent that first year. The winter that first year, it got to be 19 below zero. My mother and my sister and my oldest brother Chris and my dad were in that tent that night. Dad stayed up all night, stocking the wood stove, keeping the oil burning, going full blast. At 5 o'clock, he grabbed the coffee pot to get himself a cup of coffee. He knew it was full, he turned it upside down and nothing came out. He pulled off that lid and that coffee pot sitting right next to that oil stove had slushed up. And if Dad would have only known that God had blessed him with the first cup of slushy coffee, we could have been filthy rich. But that wasn't my dad. He worked, he sweat, and he earned. That's the American way. That's the Didier way. That's the way we've known it our whole life. This county is in terrible disarray. From embezzlements to investigations, officials suing each other, we need new leadership in this county. Thank you.
All right, they have all successfully stayed on time, so we are ahead of the game right here. We're going to start the questions and we'll go back and forth down the line. So we're going to do the first question to Mr. Didier. As a commissioner, and each of you will have the answer to this, 60 seconds. As commissioner, how would you tackle mental illness in our county?
First, we got to determine how have we come to this state of mental illness. And this is one of the lawsuits that we just read about in the paper. Really? We're going to sue opioid manufacturers as a county? I don't think this is wise use of our funds. I think we got to really look at the problem. And it's not mental illness. It's drug addiction. I'm sorry, but I'm blunt. I'll tell you what it is. And it's running rampant across the United States. We have a president now that is tackling this. That's where it needs to be tackled. We have to stop the influx of drugs into our country, and we have to take personal responsibility for our families and our kids. It's up to us as parents, not the local government.
Make a hard one to follow there, Clint. That's kind of my words exactly. We do need, it starts at the top with the president, he needs to start with it. But at the county level, we can, we can go it with our, with the Catholic Service has a great, response team there with their their social services that they have, and there's other ways of looking at this besides taking out the county dollars and from our taxpayers. And so that's where I go with it.
Okay, well, in our county, we have behavioral health and Columbia Behavior Health, and there's 9 counties involved, and we have just all chosen to go, by law, we have to make a decision. We'll become mid-operators by at the end of this year, because by 2020, we're under the state rules. They will take over. So we are setting our examples, what we want from this program. And it will combine mental illness with substance abuse, as you were just talking about. It will combine that, and this will be a transaction where we are going to have crisis response and all these different, right now we currently have that, but it's going to be built on our plan with the state. So with that, we are going in the right direction in the sense that we have transactions, we have 16 unlicensed residential services that help stabilize individuals. We have beds for mentally ill. We have the crisis response. We have psychiatrists, people that will help with that, and we are continuing to work on mental illness.
So as one of the other candidates already mentioned, we have people dying in our jail. That's to get to the heart of it. And mental health, severe chronic mental health, is something not to be taken lightly. It doesn't just affect the person who is suffering from the mental health condition. It affects everybody else. It ripples out. It causes things like homelessness, job loss, their family members suffer, and it even trickles down into our law enforcement. I had the privilege of taking a jail tour last week with Sheriff Raymond, and I got to see that our facility, our jail, is in dire repair, needs dire repair, and that this is a high-stakes, high-burnout job. So we have a lot of overturn in employment. We're expecting our law enforcement to do the job that mental health counselors need to be doing. So the first thing I intend to do as a county commissioner is to redirect those tasks to the appropriate area, not to use our most expensive resources like jail and emergency 911. Another thing as Franklin County Commissioner, and I'm told to stop, is to, can I finish my statement?
Go ahead.
Is to decide who are the lead agencies and make sure that with those community partnerships, they provide the right resources, housing, food, job, training. Thanks.
All right, we'll let you start with the next question.
Okay.
Are you taking a public position on Initiative 1631, the carbon tax?
Oh, good question. I'm not taking a position on it as of now, but part of what I've done as a candidate has been to inform myself about the issues and get in touch with the different people in our area about just different sectors. And so it's kind of been like, if you're familiar with Leadership Tri-Cities, it's been like that for the last 2.5 months, but on steroids. And so it's something I can inform myself about, and I would encourage anybody out here in the audience who does know about it and wants to educate me, please stop me after this event and let me know.
Okay, the carbon tax would be a disaster for our county. Agriculture, things like this that involve industries would be hurt. I do not believe this is anything. I would, first, it's a state issue. Second, as a county representative, I would issue against it and would continue to make sure that our county is in the safest position in the state that we can have. So the answer is no, I would not.
Yeah, I think that the carbon tax would be a big mistake for this county. You know, we have, it's a really high in agriculture, and, you know, there's a lot of tractors out there, and other various things that use the carbon. But, so I'd be against that too.
As a farmer, and I know we all went to school, we all took biology, we all know that photosynthesis, plants use carbon and create oxygen. We need carbon. I need it as a farmer to grow my crops so I can make some money. Carbon is a necessity for this planet, and therefore I would be totally against the carbon tax. Thank you.
Okay, we'll let you start with this next question, Mr. Didier. Would you vote for or against a county ordinance that allows marijuana to be grown or sold in Franklin County?
I believe that's already a state issue, and it's already been voted on, and marijuana is legal. And let me tell you right now, my daughter's doing a lot of research on this right now. And there's a lot of things that have been hidden from us, from our federal government, on marijuana and the oils and the creams that can be created for arthritis, and I'm using them now. So I would be in favor of allowing the people to use this as a means to treat arthritis, which it does work. I will attest to it. Thank you.
You're right, Clint. It's passed in the state, and it's here. It's going to be a, you know, it's maybe not here in our county yet, but you know, it's coming. Right now, I hear two different sides of the story. People say, why don't the county let this tax, you know, get the tax base off it, get the tax dollars off it. But then I hear also on the other side that the tax dollars all go to the state. It just kind of skips over the county. So that would be something that we'd have to look into to make sure that the tax dollars that would stay here would actually help the county and take up any of the downfall that it would produce.
Okay, well, I'm fortunate enough to be one of those that voted that we do not grow and raise and sell marijuana in Franklin County. I stick with that. I will continue with that. The money we receive from taxes, and that's pennies basically, to what the expense could be to cover it. We may get $10,000 of taxes on it. It's not very little. And then you see the problem that Benton County's had with the planning, with the neighbors, and with the people wanting it and not wanting it. One thing for sure, yes, the state has it, so anybody can go and buy it and take it home, anyone. But you cannot grow it, you cannot sell it, and you cannot manufacture it in our Franklin County. However, there is medical marijuana. I believe medical marijuana has its uses. I think that there is benefits for people that have injuries, people that are war veterans, people that can use that, and there is things as such as the creams and stuff that we can do. But it's totally separated from growing and selling marijuana in Franklin County.
So as I go door knocking and canvassing, this is an issue that is pretty controversial amongst our residents. And the way that I think I could best represent them is by putting out a referendum and allowing the voters to vote on it so that their voices could be heard on it.
Great. So a reminder for audience questions, this is your forum, so if you have any, please put the cards up. We're going to start with Ms. Roach again. How should the county's role be defined working with ICE?
Well, after taking a 2-hour tour with Sheriff Raymond and understanding what the sheriff's role is, I'm going to say that it's our responsibility to cooperate with federal agents. That's within the law, and we need to align ourselves with the law first and foremost. I think that using our resources to go after people who are law-abiding citizens, who are working and contributing members, is not a good way to use our county resources. But those that have broken the law and that do need to be detained for criminal activity, there's absolutely within reason.
Okay, I think ICE is a federal department that is there for a reason, and that is at one time when we had a president in his administration, they loosened up on it and did not take people from our jails that were illegal. What they did do, though, is when we have a new president now, it is where we are cracking down on certain things, as this president is in the nation, cracking down on these things. ICE has a position, and that is for illegal people or anything that relates to that they would be the ones that will control that. We don't do that at a county level. We don't do that in the local level. So ICE is the one that do it, and I think we still should have ICE considered here in America.
Yes, I think we should have ICE in America, and, you know, this illegal immigration that we have a problem with, you know, it's illegal. So I guess I could use an analogy here that, you know, if I owned a bank and somebody came to rob it and I wanted to, you know, lend out my money and somebody came to rob it and it's, you know, they take my money and then somebody wants to come borrow it, you know, I'd rather have them do it legally than to come steal it from me. So that's kind of the analogy I'm looking at is go ahead and let's make some better ways for them to get here legally. And so anyway, thank you.
We are a representative republic, a government of laws, and therefore the chief law enforcement officer of our county should be working with the federal government. Because if people are here illegally, we can see the results of that. I'm sure you're reading the paper about the remains of the lady that was found on the shoreline down at the Columbia River. We've had other instances. This is making our communities unsafe. And I tell you, you fear for your children and your grandchildren when they go out to town at night. Who may they run into? We don't know. Until we make sure that we have our borders secure and the people that are here are on work permits and are legal, or they're here under work permits, then we work with ICE because it's trying to make our communities safe.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Didier again. Do you think it is a good idea, and do you support the return of Army Corps land to local governments?
Well, I understand, and I was told, and I haven't done the research yet, that the Army Corps of Engineers isn't even a part of our government. And I want to check into that before I go too far along that road. But I think local control of all of our lands is important. You're seeing states with, like Utah, 80% is owned by the federal government. How are we supposed to create the commerce, to pay the taxes, and to live and to have a prosperous state when the federal government owns 80% of the land? In the West here, it owns a great deal of it. I think it's 55%. All those lands should be returned to the states so that we can use those natural resources and we can protect the parks for the people to visit. But it should be up to the states. That's their land. Thank you.
Yes, I believe that the county or city should have access or be able to take care of the Army Corps of Engineer ground. I'm actually a neighbor of the Army Corps of Engineers, and there's a problem down there every year. They're Canadian thistle, you know, they don't take care of anything down there. They leave you can't even get down in there because all the ticks and everything are so bad. So, I mean, what's the use of having it? They need to, somebody needs to take it over and be responsible landowners of it. Thank you.
Yes, I think the shore should go back to the public. I think that Corps does not manage it well. I do know for a fact, though, that we would have an easement that still allowed the walking path and bike path during this area that is now asked to be designated for public to take over. I think it is a benefit to our community, for tourism, for a lot of other things, and just for the fact that private property owners would have control of that as much as they can. So with that, yes, I don't think the Corps is doing a very good job at management at all.
So as a planning commissioner, I have yet to see an issue in the 7 years that I've been on the commission with the Army Corps of Engineers. With that said, I haven't heard an argument yet to be made for this, and so I'd like to educate myself before I take a position on it.
So, Ms. Deutsch, we'll go back with you. A follow-up question on that. Should that land be returned along the shorelines, how will you protect and ensure open spaces and parks for all?
So who would it be returned to? Are you asking county government, city, or state?
I believe it's a combination of the city and county, but for the county's role, what would you do to ensure open spaces?
What would I do to ensure open spaces? Well, then this go towards parks. I mean, that's something that ensures that everybody in the public has use of that, especially if it's along our rivers and our shorelines. That is prime property, and we should treat it like gold, and have access to all. Our bike paths and our interconnectivity here provide some of that recreation of bike paths, running, and boating. So I think it would be to the benefit of all residents to have access to it rather than have private owners own the land. And that's all I've got.
I think the private owners would manage it, but there's easement. There's easements on that bike trail I was talking about. I think that, hey, would you go ahead and repeat that question? I want to make sure I answer it fully.
So should the land be returned to the local governments, what will you do to ensure access and protection for open spaces and parks?
Yeah, okay. Well, when it comes to open spaces and parks, I think that's correct. Look at the lake, the park we have it by Tijuana. It is, it's kind of run down again on the shorelines. It's not doing very well, and it's because the Corps has it, and we need to control that. Local government would control it. One time it was in Franklin County, but we had with city, you know, we work together on these parks and these docks, and that park should be used very well. It should be in the best benefit that possible for our community. But what I think an open space, again, we go back to, you look across the river where they're building, and they're building lots of wine shops, they're building all these wonderful restaurants. I would like to see that happen and that opportunity happen more on our side, and it's designated just for up to a certain part of the river.
Yes, of course, I believe that, I mean, that's kind of the same question there, that it should be returned back to the local government, but there has been some talk that it is returned back to the landowners. You know, back in my grandpa bought our place down there in the 30s, and it was, the government came in and took that ground away from them in the late 40s and early 50s, and because they were worried about the flooding or whatever. So, and yeah, it's keep it open so you can put a bike path in there, but it's not doing anybody any good. And I mean, the county has charging me waterfront taxes there on my waterfront, but you can't even see the river because the trees are so thick in there and the brush and everything. So, yeah, turn it back to the county. Maybe they can do something about that.
I'm agreeing with Dobie on this. This was private property at one time. It was taken by the federal government. And I think it needs to be restored to the private property owners that owned it before they seized it. If it didn't have an owner, then yes, the county government. But now there's another responsibility for the county. More tax dollars it's going to take to manage this land. I think that there could be another alternative. Yeah, we need parks. We've got plenty of parks around here, and we're going to have more. They've got a development plan out there for the sand dunes, and when they proposed that, I asked them, where's the bypass highway for us farmers to get our products out to the highway and over to the west side? Well, they hadn't even a thought of that. Isn't that sad that we have a planning division and they haven't even thought about the agricultural community and all the products that we got to get to market? This is what the reasonable, the common sense, the good sense that we need in our local government.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Didier on this question. There's a growing fight between the state and local governments on unfunded mandates. Some are suggesting asking the state for more taxing authority, others suing the state to stop the mandates. What should the county do?
Well, now, if you wanted to take your time for a lawsuit and spend our tax dollars wisely, I think this would be the opportunity to do that, because we have this happening in our state to the federal government. I say we follow their lead. We have an attorney general and a governor that's doing everything they can to make it miserable for our president and his administration. Why should we be mandated to do what the state government tells us to do when we know it's not right? This is where we need to challenge our state government. You know, Franklin County has an opportunity here. We have a lot of secrecy and a lot of things that are going on in our county government, and I say we need transparency and open government. And we need to lead so that the state can follow us and be in the positive direction for our county and this state. So let's get good sense into this county government. Thank you.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, there's a growing fight between the state and local governments on unfunded mandates. Some are suggesting the local governments ask for new taxing authority, others suing the state to stop the mandates. What should the county do?
Well, I'm not sure about all the mandates, but I do know that Franklin County, you know, builders come to me and they're like, why do we have such harder laws and regulations than Benton County does? And, you know, I've kind of asked that question and nobody can ever give me a good answer except for it's, you know, it's all regulated by, you know, state of Washington or federal government. But so why do we have to have my brother, he's wanting to put in a brewery out there, a tasting room, and he has to have air conditioning. I just thought that was very stupid. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, so the unfunded mandates we have in the county, it generally starts with something they start us out with, maybe a program. And then the next thing you know, it's all of a sudden they take that money away and we got this program started. And we're sitting there holding the bag on our budget. As long as we're growing, as long as we're managing the budget right and good, we can continue to fund these benefits. It's not easy, it's not tough, and it takes some skill and some smart and some really daring things to do. We got 80% of our budget is court systems. There's a lot of mandates there that we don't get, we have to cover, and we just continue to work with what we can in our government, in our budget. That is the key thing. To raise taxes to cover it, no, we don't. I don't think our commissioners would do that, any of us. And at this point, we do have things like the liquor license stuff that they take that sales tax we used to get away. So it causes hardship on our budgets when they do this.
So personally, I would be keeping our local counties' authority on these mandates here. And that leaves us the ability for our residents to vote on the taxes that would affect them. We have to look at the benefit. If voters are able to vote on taxes that would affect them, it means that they're able to understand what the benefit is for them. What are the resources and programs that they get out of it. And so we have different needs here on the east side of Washington State than our representative in Olympia and on the west side. And so that would be my opinion. Keep it here, keep it local.
Okay, we'll start from the source again on this one. There's a very large Hispanic population in Franklin County. What do you think the county should do to improve community outreach and a better understanding of this population?
One thing, and I think this is in referral to just recent events, I think that we use our local organizations, our Latino organizations that we have here, Consejo Latino, LULAC, for exactly that. We have a majority Latino population. We have a respectful Latino leaders here that we can use to ask this question and say, how can we teach our law enforcement agents how to, use better Spanish, conversational Spanish, and look for those resources right here rather than go outside.
I think at this time, the Hispanic, Latino associations, the chambers they have are doing a very good job at letting people know they're out there and what they're doing. I think that our population, their taxpayers, our populations are strong, and we need to, their population is strong, and we need to completely work with them as a county in providing things that is good for this. And basically, again, it's the city working with the county, and that's where a lot of this is. And we try to do that as well as we can. But I appreciate the Latino community, and I think they do a wonderful job in Pasco and Tri-Cities, and I think the outreach is wonderful that they do now. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the outreach is very good too. I mean, years ago, you know, I'm like, why do we have to print all this stuff out in Spanish too? But, you know, with our county at 50% Latino or better, it's obvious that we're going to have to do that. And then I'm sure there's more ways we can do that with the social media now that maybe we can put some of that in Spanish for the outreach. So, thank you.
If you want to see outreach, come on out to St. Paul the Apostle Church. We've helped our members of the community up in Basin City to have their own church. We raised the money in our church, and we helped them put that together. They're more than welcome to come attend our church, and they do that too. And I just spoke to a gal up there this morning at Mr. Quick's, and made mention to her. I can't remember what I was asking her about, but she goes, "Oh, I couldn't do that because it's not in Spanish." And I said, "You speak great English. This is America. English, if you want to prosper, if you want to succeed, then we've got to get them to learn English. This is America, the land of opportunity. Learn English and you can become anything you want in this country." Thank you.
Okay, to Mr. Didier, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the county, and what would you do to address it?
I think the biggest challenge for this county is transparency. You know, we've got a land deal out here that there were 70 executive meetings, secret meetings. Why? I don't know. We need the meetings of the commissioners to be put on the Franklin County website. I attended the meetings numerous times, 3 times. Ask them, please put out the recording of the meeting. I'm a farmer. I don't have the time to attend every meeting. And you know what they finally did? They released the meeting to me personally and not to the public. We need open transparency in our government. We need accountability. We've had an embezzlement. We've had a road closure that was ridiculous. County roads and bridges, I have a picture of signs out there that say you can't take 28 ton with 7 axles across these bridges. They're all over. We haul 32 ton of hay on every truck that goes out of the blocks. There's just many things. VSP and the GMA. Now, I can really get into the toolies on that, but I'm not. Our jail is not. Sheriff Raymond, is our jail done to completion the way you wanted it? No. The vet program implemented in 2010. We don't even have a board, and they're collected taxes for our vets. We need leadership. We need somebody to bring this team together and move it forward.
What was the question again?
What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing the county, and how would you address it?
The biggest challenge facing our county, I think, right now is probably our planning department. Right now, there's no head of the planning department. Everyone I've talked to, I mean, there's been a lot of people. That was one of the reasons why a lot of these people asked me to run, was because they go in there to the planning department and they come back out with no answers. And they say, "We'll come back tomorrow at such and such time. Somebody will be here to help you then." They come in there and nobody there. The other thing is, you know, like Clint was saying, I'm on the sheriff's advisory board, and you know, they got a problem there with that jail, and prisoners can just walk out of it. In fact, when we were there doing a tour of it, there was one that came out into the common area. So anyway, those are the 2 main things right now. Thanks.
Well, I have a big issue, but first I'm going to say a few things. First of all, we have just spent $1 million in the jail. We are working on that jail. We are putting our budget into it. Thank goodness we got a budget that we can work with. So it is being completed and done. These things don't happen overnight. There's issues that we have to be involved. And sheriffs, fills us in on this. We work with the sheriff very well on it. It is being done. Second is I offered to put it on television, our meetings for Clint when he came to the meeting. He said, no, we can't spend that, don't spend that much money, just get on the radio. Well, to put it on the Comcast, to put it on that, you got ADA things you have to do for people that can't see, can't hear, all these different things, but we do have a link. We do have a link that will let everybody listen to it. You just gotta call our office, they give you the link, and you can listen to it. Second is, the most important thing, though, about the issue is Columbia River. We have to keep all the issues with Columbia River. We have to keep these dams. We have to keep the water for the irrigation. We have to keep potable, clean water for the cities, people to live on. It is so important. That is number one. Without Columbia River, Tri-Cities is not here anymore. So thank you.
So, yay, I get to go last, so I get to piggyback off of what everybody said. I agree with all of these gentlemen. The first thing, transparency. I've found that myself as I go door knocking. People don't know what a county commissioner does. So the first thing is I get to be a teacher again and teach them what is the role of a county commissioner and how do they represent you. And so I think making the meetings more accessible, maybe having an evening meeting. Charter Cable does free broadcast for the city of Pasco. Why not do that? We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. As Mr. Didier said, uploading the videos to a website, to the county website, so that somebody can watch from home. I can't make it at Tuesday at 9 a.m. in the morning. So collaboration with the cities, the residents, Benton County, that's a big one. Jails. The sheriff's department is doing what they can. We're not the wealthiest county. So how do we stretch our dollar? How do we take it as far as we can? One thing we can do is look at our sources of revenue in the county and bolster that first. Take a look at track. Let's not perform at a deficit. Let's get it to break even. Okay, those are just some of the things that we can do and that I see the need.
Okay, our candidates have survived the lightning round of questions, so we're going to go to the 60-second closing statements, and we'll start again with Ms. Roach.
So my past experiences have prepared me for this role in municipal government as a City of Pasco Planning Commissioner, as a Pasco School District teacher, as a homeowner, as a lifelong resident of Pasco. It's an honor to be here before you, and I humbly ask you to vote for me. I think that I have something that currently we need. As one of the other candidates mentioned, there is a need for experience in planning and land use development. We continue to grow, and I think that growth has to happen stably. So we're growing in population. We also need to encourage our commercial growth right alongside of that. That is a balanced way to do that. And as far as one of the other things that I didn't get to touch on was just collaboration. I'm out there, I'm knocking on doors. I've gone to city council meetings, gone to City of Connell council meetings, the public libraries. I'm trying to bring people together here and be a bridge. So that's something I know that I can do as a future Franklin County Commissioner.
As your Franklin County Commissioner, I will continue to work with the communities in our county, with the City of Pasco, the port, and our neighboring counties, leveraging our tax dollars and collaborating on projects that will be beneficial to all in Franklin County. I support property rights for landowners. I bring 45 years of business, including accelerated growth and proven planning experience in Franklin County, making our citizens, businesses, and agriculture communities strong and safe. I am proud of keeping our taxes low and lean. We are fiscally stronger than ever. I am the right vote for Franklin County Commissioner because our future depends on vision, experience, leadership, and a proven track record, making decisions that are in the best interest of the entire county. I'm the only candidate that has no conflicts of interest in making any decisions. I have no side business, no family involved in the county. This is a full-time job. I am the right vote for Franklin County Commissioner, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
As a farmer and a developer, I have worked closely with the Corps of Engineers, the Franklin County Planning Department, and even the county commissioners on various projects. It has given me a great understanding of the it's been giving me a great understanding of the zoning requirements and the best land use practices. Because I have many years of experience with the property development, along with my lifetime of understanding the needs of the farming community, I will be a Franklin County Commissioner who has the knowledge to handle the changing future. As a Franklin County Commissioner, I would offer my depth of experience to the job and would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
When I got that opportunity to play in the NFL, and I went back to DC, Washington, DC, one of my falling parts with Joe Gibbs was he wanted me to stay there and become a resident of Washington, DC. And after finding the courage, I finally told Joe, this isn't home, and it never will be. This is home. Franklin County. It's where I was born, where I was raised, married my wife here, we raised our children, and now we're gonna be blessed with possibly 8 grandchildren here in the future. I want them to have the same shot at the American dream that I've had. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that our county government is running efficiently as a team. One goal, moving in one direction. Right now, it's fractional, it's going everywhere. I'm going to hold the team to a higher standard. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, very important issues facing the county. Several ideas on how to address them. Look in your mail for your primary ballot, due back August 7th. This will be rebroadcast on Pasco City Television and on Charter Channel 12. You did very good staying silent, but now I think it would be more than appropriate to thank and applaud our candidates.